right, so Kim Mitchell. So you go to a cattle call audition type thing. So how many people are there?
There's about 28 bass players, and like most of the top, well, all of the top guys in the Canadian
Toronto
scene.
or
well, yeah, definitely in Toronto, all the top guys, and it was pretty ominous, right? Like we'd all learned
different songs. Yeah. So what were your 3 songs? You remember?
Yep. When there was 2 Max.
I'm testing his memory because I did this interview before, and he remembered the 3 songs he did a year ago.
There was 2 Max songs, and I only did 1 Max song. I think I did High Class and Borrowed Shoes.
Okay, I don't remember what they were, but
yeah, and Go for a Soda, and no, it wasn't the ballad because the ballad was too scary. And there was another. There's an interesting fact. I didn't get to the 3rd song because by the 2nd song, Kim had already seen a bunch of guys, and it's a slog, right? He's in a rehearsal room with the bass player, with the drummer, keyboard player, and him, and it was a day-long event, right? Like he literally had about 15, 20 minutes to come in, play, and get the heck out of Dodge, right? But you also had to sing.
Okay.
Because Peter,
He was a great singer.
Formidable singer, and after the 2nd song, he said, "Oh, Rob, it's clear you can play." And he asked me how things were going on the Karen tour, right? How are things going with Lee Aaron? And we ended up talking for like 10 minutes just about, life and the trials and tribulations of everything.
So you had a good connection with him, personally?
Yeah, it was literally chatting, I think, in all reality, because everyone in that line of people were easily good or better than I was. So it was, and 2 days later, I was literally jumping on the plane to go to Halifax with Karen, and I got a call from Kim's manager saying, "Yeah, so I think you should give Kim a call." And I called up Kim, and he goes, "Yeah, man, so you want to come on board?" And that was it.
And it was done. So you didn't finish the Lee Aaron tour?
I on that tour, it was a 2-week tour out east.
Maybe that's why she's not talking to you.
Yeah, that's right. Couldn't be, right? I had a bit of an issue over the years with Molly Johnson when I was in her band. I left her band, but the Infidels. But anyway, at the end of halfway through, I told Randy immediately.
Yeah.
Because just plain and simply, Kim, as you know, is like the Frank Zappa of Canada, right?
Absolutely.
So to get a call and to be in his band, musically,
you've told me before this was the biggest opportunity you'd ever had.
Well, and it was also musically. There's like Rush, Max Webster, like
Triumph, whatever. Yeah.
It was like in terms of the hierarchy of musicianship in the country, it was up there.
He was up there, right?
It was up there, right? So, for instance, from that moment on, I never had to audition for gigs. I just got called.
Because as soon as you said I played with Kim Mitchell, for how long did you play with Kim?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. People were like, you're good.
Yeah. No, and they said, "Are you available?" Not, "Can you come audition?"
Yeah, totally different story, eh?
Yeah. So that was a huge move.
So then what happens after Kim? So you played. So this is in the 90s.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Okay, so then right after Kim,
92 to 94, I played with Kim.
Music industry goes to hell. Well, the rock music, no.
Interestingly, I mean, it's a funny thing because it just changed exponentially, is all it was, right? It didn't go to hell. Huge successes were happening. It just changed, right? And there's always a bit of a resistance when that kind of change occurs. But no, from Kim, I literally got a phone call from the musical director for Alana Miles, who was going out on her follow-up tour to her biggest record, right? Her record that sold.
So you played with her too, right?
I did. I toured for 4 years with her. And that was an experience and a half. So there you go.
Wow. I kind of forgot that story. And then where does Loverboy fit into this?
Loverboy fits in with in 2004. So it was actually in 99 I came off the road. I was pretty cooked because I spent the 90s literally touring. Right? So the first 10 years of my daughter's life, the first 8 years of my son's life, it was, and not that you're away constantly, but it's a lifestyle, right? That you, I literally jumped from tour to tour to tour to tour, and Alana was pretty extensive globally. So there was one tour.
So you toured with her where? Like Europe? Like everywhere?
Like literally everywhere. Like Europe, Japan, Australia, all through the U.S., like North America extensively, Europe extensively too. We were in Europe for 3 months one time. So I left the end of September, got home just before Christmas, and that was the longest I'd ever been away. And it was a little disarming, right? Like you'd come home like, what the heck is that?
So, okay, but what was the difference?
Plus, I'm a recovering alcoholic, right?
Yeah, so we'll get to that story too. But back then you weren't, though. No,
Buddy.
Exactly.
Buddy, I didn't. I just started drinking right before I stopped.
You were leading the pack. So what? Kim Mitchell's a big band, big name, and then you go to the last tour. What in terms of the tours? Was it like, oh my God, Alanis Morissette is just so much bigger than Kim Mitchell?
Yeah, well, it was global.
Right, so you could tell right away
like,
you were on something that was big.
With Kim, we were doing arenas all across Canada, right? And we did a few shows in the States. But, jumping onto an international act, it was insane. Like, we had a double-decker tour bus. The crew had their own bus. We had a chef that came around, right? So every day we'd be, you'd be asked, what do you feel like eating for dinner tonight, kind of thing on the road. So very different.
Beer.
Yeah, exactly. And that was breakfast. So yeah, it was a very different, and talk about pay scale, like it was crazy. I ended up buying my house with that tour 4
money?
years.
Yeah,
within 4 years.
So at this point, you're not a songwriter, right? Like you're just a guy who's
I'm
hired
literally
tour.
a hired gun, slogging it out.
So when you look at
earning, right? Like doing what? But unfortunately, earning and because I was an alcoholic, it's all that is there all the time, right? So
is it? So obviously, the whole idea of sex, drugs, and rock and roll and that persona. I mean, is it hard not to be that though? Like, I mean, who in the '90s was sober playing? I mean, I don't even know. Like today, today we here's an different
example. Kim was. That's a great example. So it was, I mean, there were some people. Unfortunately, there was a larger component of abuse in the other project, but I mean the Kim project, the drummer Greg Critchley, who was a great drummer,
amazing drummer.
You know what he did every day? He got up and he jogged, and every town we were in, he would work out. He'd find the gym. He'd work out. I mean, that's what I do today, right? Now,
maybe that's my issue as a drummer. Maybe I should do more of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wish, again, I've got regret, obviously, and remorse, but. It was, no, my alcoholism didn't start from the music industry.
No, okay.
It was just enabled, encouraged, accepted, all that stuff.
But don't you look back now and think, so what? Like, I know you went through hell in parts of it, but do you not think, I don't know, that was a fun time in my life, and I wouldn't do it again.
No.
But at the same time, man, I got great stories from it.
But asking if it's necessarily like an intrinsic given, no, because I've now been doing it for 4 years without a drop.
Absolutely, okay,
right.
But I'm talking about back then, though, where I think everybody did.
No,
I don't think
as I just said though, like Greg, Kim wasn't a big drinker.
There's two people out of how many? No.
Well, the band, four of us,
yeah,
and the keyboard player wasn't it?
I get what you're saying.
Player. So I essentially in that band was the donkey show drinker, right? So.
God, I would have loved to hang out with you back then.
Yeah, no.
Not that I don't like to hang out with you now. But.
Yeah.
So listen, that's great. We're going to come back and talk about Platinum Blonde.
Sure.
And some of the Honeymoon Suite and a few other things. Randy Cook, of course. And the Guess Who, which you played with last year. So that is Rob Laidlaw. I'm Shane Christopher Neal. Industry 45 right here on Giant TV. Go to giantfm.com and click on the Giant TV little icon. It'll take you to our YouTube page. Or you can go to Giant TV Niagara on YouTube and check us out there. We'll be right back.